To have you with us. Merry Christmas, my friend. Let me ask you about the National Guard decision. It's a pause. It's not a full stop. Do I have that right?
Merry Christmas, Kevin. Absolutely. It's not the end of law and order. What the Supreme Court is saying, and they're clarifying this, the president can federalize the National Guard, but the Constitution actually requires congressional authorization. And I think the Supreme Court here is actually creating a roadmap, Kevin, telling President Trump, if we actually need the Guard, let's make the case. Let's use the Insurrection Act. And there's a lot of steps the administration will have to go through, but this really shouldn't be hard. When states are unwilling to enforce their laws, as we're seeing in Illinois, because J.B. Pritzker refuses to protect his citizens, when you're seeing public order being broken down, the court's basically saying, make the record, use the Insurrection Act, and protect citizens. So this is a slam dunk case. And I think the president needs to approach the Supreme Court again and actually show them that we're using clear congressional authorization. I think for the naysayers out there, they're dead wrong because the president has the authority. It's just the case needs to be made here.
Yeah, and I think the administration recognizes that, and I think ultimately they may have to go in that direction, especially if they want to move very quickly. Speaking of brevity being the soul of wit, we've got about 45 seconds. I want to get you teed up on some very big cases that are coming down the line, the docket for the Supreme Court. This really could, frankly, impact the president's agenda, to say nothing of the 2026 midterms. We're talking about tariffs, voting rights cases, birthright citizenship. How do you see this new docket unfolding?
I think that the Supreme Court's going to be standing with the president. Look, in terms of the tariff case, Kevin, it's very clear the president has the authority. From Jimmy Carter to Joe Biden, we have seen presidents use this tariff authority, and that's exactly what President Trump is doing. At the end of the day, all of these cases go down to national security, and we have massive threats in the United States of America. So from tariffs to birthright citizenship, we need to start actually following the law. And Democrats are testing the president's authority because they're terrified. They're terrified that they can't import, for instance, illegals for voting blocks today. They want to fight him on the economic agenda because we're seeing prosperity. And lastly, these voting right cases, we have to just stop the racial discrimination on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and get back to actually allowing individuals to vote rather than blocks of racial demographics. So I think there's going to be a lot of wins for President Trump. And I want this case law cleared up so he can actually execute his agenda moving forward. And this is for every president after President Trump. So I'm excited to see these cases unfold.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, too, because I think this is not just about this administration, this time in history. This is moving forward. It's very valuable decision making by the High Court. And I suspect you're right. The president and the Republicans may do very, very well, especially as it relates to the voting rights decision. We'll be watching together. My good friend Mahek Cook, thank you for spending time with us. Merry Christmas to you.